to the drama section, that is Rising of the Moon. We finished Midsummer Night's Dream. We finished An Enemy of the People. We have the last rapid reader section. The entire other three sections are done. So have your textbooks in front of you. I'm giving everyone 2 minutes. Whoever has to join in will do so. All right, we're almost ready. Please have your textbooks in place, children. Page 138 is what we are looking at. Page 138. Sorry, I have a little cold, so there'll be constant, maybe some distraction. Okay. Now, The Rising of the Moon is written by Lady Gregory. Her actual name is Isabella Augusta Percy. Let's look at a little introduction and then I'll go into the main characters. Lady Gregory, or Isabel Augusta Percy, was born in County Galway, Ireland. One of the moving spirits behind the establishment of the Abbey Theatre in Dublin, she was a playwright of great technical skill. At the instance of her friend and sponsor, William Butler Yeats, who encouraged her to study the old history and folklore of Ireland, Lady Gregory has specially mastered the one-act form. And the 31-act plays, Spreading the News and The Rising of the Moon are the best known. The Rising of the Moon reveals both great charm and skill of dramatic imagination and a closely observed Irish character. The play's charm mainly tests on the sustaining passion of Irish nationalism. The title, which is taken from the ballad on Sean O'Farrell, is a symbol of the Irish uprising against the British. Lady Gregory's careful study of the Irish character, her skillful delineation of the individual characters, and a perfect handling of the situation are responsible for this one-act play's great charm and popularity. Now, who are the main characters of the play? The following are the main characters. First, you have a sergeant. The sergeant is the one who's responsible. He's irresponsible, but he's a brave policeman. Okay, so he's someone who you cannot really rely on. However, he's someone who's brave and he can actually face anyone. He is easily fooled by anyone and he seeks acknowledgement very easily. The second character, now this is the sergeant. The second character is the ragged man. The ragged man is also a brave man because the most important point, he has escaped from jail. And he's a smart man because he can deceive anybody, including the sergeant, which is one of the main points. Then you have policeman B. There's no character name given, it's only policeman B. He's a very obedient policeman. Why? Because he obeys whatever his sergeant tells him. Okay. Moreover, he also cares about the sergeant, and whenever the sergeant suggests anything, he accepts it. And lastly, the fourth character is the policeman X. He is also an obedient man and respects the sergeant. So basically, the sergeant is the main character who is brave but fooled easily. Under him, he has two constables, policeman B and policeman X. Policeman B is someone who is obedient, listens to the sergeant, takes his advice, and so is policeman X. But they are all in search of one person, and that one person is the ragged man. He has escaped from jail and there he's on the loose. All right, let's see what this story is about in short first. Let me tell you. Now, children, if you look at your textbook, it's an entire play that's given to you in detail, but you'll see there's no short plot of the play. There's nothing like that in this entire story. Okay, so I'm going to send your notes on your group through Somsir. All right, so you all don't have to worry about that, but I'm explaining to you, and while I'm explaining, pay careful attention, whatever I tell you. All right, it starts off by telling you the story is about a prisoner who has escaped from jail and is on the loose. Okay, so he's running away. Three men, a sergeant and two junior assistants, are distributing flyers and they're trying to aid in his capture. That means they're offering a sum. They've offered a sum of 100 pounds. Whoever catches the ragged man will get 100 pounds, which at that time was a very incredible amount. Now, this is the time when the British were colonizing the whole world, and Ireland was one such place that they had also colonized. After passing out flyers, the men separate, and the sergeant decides to sit and wait on a bay. Okay, a bay is like a little stream, and there's like a little port. So the sergeants have gone, the policemen have gone around, like the constables have gone around to put out flyers and search. Whereas on the other hand, you have the main policeman, the main sergeant, who's sitting at the bay waiting for his group of police to get back. Now, the prisoner is waiting here, also looking at the sergeant carefully. While he's resting there, he's thinking about all the money. So the sergeant is thinking all the wealth he has actually acquired in black. And what if he only caught the ragged man and made the 100 pounds? It would have been a big thing. So he's thinking about this plan. Let's see how the story takes into a break. Okay, let's see how the story changes. Okay, we'll first start with the policeman being in search of the wanted criminal. Now it's a moonlit night. It's an Irish wharf. A wharf is nothing but a port. Okay, there's a sea and three Irish policemen. One is the sergeant, policeman B, and policeman X. They are in service of the English government. The British have taken over Ireland and they are working for the British government. Okay, but they're irritated, they're fed up, because we all know how the British treated the ones that they colonized. So they're fed up, they're annoyed, they're irritated. However, they have to do the whatever is delegated to them by the British government. So what do? They decide to now catch this ragged man. There are wanted posters put all around for a clever escape of a political criminal. That means this man was politically involved, maybe in overthrowing the British. They are convinced. Sorry,
अपना ध्यान दे
someone is unmuted or want to say something. All right. Now they are convinced that the person who has escaped has come through the water ridges, has come through the water, come by the sea. And they're hoping that they'll capture him, and maybe that 100 pounds will be actually given to them only, and they'll get a reward or they'll get a promotion. So the sergeant sends two of his younger assistants with what? With a lantern to post these bills all over, that if he's found, they'll get 100 pounds. All right. And the sergeant is sitting here at the bay, keeping an uneasy watch. Now, the ragged man, just in time, tries to slip past the sergeant. So he's arrived at the bay and he sees that there's this head constable, head police sitting over here waiting for him. So he tries to now baffle the sergeant. Remember, the sergeant is a brave man, but he's a dumb person. He has no brains. He may be brave, but he's someone who can get knifed very easily. He can get fooled very easily. So what does he realize? He realizes that this policeman, this sergeant, is someone who's working for the British, but he's thoroughly Irish. So he decides to now fool him. He sings Irish songs, he sings sailor songs, he sings ballad songs, all this for the sergeant to get lured towards him. Okay, they sing about Jimmy, they sing about Jimmy was a governor back then. They sing about the leaves, they sing about the roads of the town, they sing about the climate of the town. And the officer now is interested only in the songs and he's forgotten that he's in search of a ragged man. He has no idea that he's in search of a ragged man. The area is very clear. And now this ragged man can flee, he can run away. Okay. So he tells everybody, all right. He tells all the people around, he tells everyone that it's time to move from the bay. The ragged man pretends to start walking towards the town. But again, the sergeant stops him. And why does he stop him? For only one reason. He wants to sing a song with him all over again. All right. So he lets the ragged man stay with him. He's not ready to let go of him. Whereas the ragged man, on the other hand, only is interested in getting out. So he's frightened. All right. He's frightened that the sergeant may somehow find out the truth about this man. And he's frightened that after that, he'll be put back into prison. He requests the sergeant to keep continuing singing songs of folklore with him, Irish folklore, all right, so that he distracts him constantly. So the sergeant gladly accepts the ragged man's offer and he tells him to stay with him and keep looking for this so-called escaped prisoner. Now they're sitting back to back, they're sitting on a barrel and they're looking at the dog, they're looking at the sea, and the two men are smoking pipes and singing along. The sergeant now confesses. He starts telling the ragged man a very internal story about himself. He says that police work under the British is very difficult, especially if he's a family man. He says police officers are supposed to spend such long hours and we have such dangerous missions, one of being actually capturing the ragged man. He says he starts lamenting. Okay, he starts making him feel what he's going through. The ragged man realizes that the sergeant is very sad, so he decides to sing again. He sings traditional songs, sentimental songs, all in Irish and all countryside songs. Okay, he sings even the national ballad, and he keeps talking about the oppression that he's going through. The sergeant man stops him. He protests. He tells him not to sing anymore. All right, he protests him and he says, it's better you don't sing anymore because the English don't like us singing Irish songs. There's so much of firing happening between the English and the Irelanders that it's impossible now to sing out in the open. He tells him how the English are suppressing them. So he speaks about the tension in the air that the English have created. He says that we can sing in our hearts, we can sing for our daughters, we can sing for our sons, we can sing when we are lonely, but we cannot sing in public. Then the ragged man, he decides to stop singing because he realizes that the sergeant is frightened. He's frightened for his job and he's frightened that now these Irish will be caught by the police. Again, the man begins to sing after some time. And immediately the sergeant corrects the man and says, if you're singing, sing right. But if you're singing, do not sing a rebel song. Don't sing something that will go against the British because we are supposed to be loyal to the English rulers. Now, at this given point in time, even the ragged man realizes that the sergeant by heart is a very, very nostalgic, loyal person. He has nationalistic feelings in his heart. So what does he do? He starts probing the sergeant's memories. He starts talking about the sergeant when he was a young man. He wants to know what was his life like when he was a young man. And he realizes the sergeant was someone who was very patriotic, which is why he feels when he's being suppressed by the British. He talks about his youthful memories. He talks about how he lived his life back then with nobody around, and now he has a family and so much to sacrifice. And then finally, he comes to the story of what he's looking out for. He says at this given point in time, he's looking for a ragged man. Okay, he's looking for someone who's out on the loose, and if he finds him, he's going to have a big, big promotion. All right. Now, here he's caught up in a very hypothetical scenario. If you go to see, the sergeant is someone who has a choice of his own. The choice is that he wants to be with his family. He wants Ireland to be free because he doesn't like the British ruling over. But on the other hand, he's also using this opportunity of the police force to gain some laurels, to gain a promotion, to gain that maybe 100 pounds, which was a lot of money back then. He also starts thinking that what if he was not married? What if he didn't have children? Life would have been so much more easier for him. He wouldn't have to worry about going home. He wouldn't have to worry about spending so much long hours. All right. So the possibility becomes so real for him that he begins to confuse his own identity with the escape. He realizes that what the ragged man did was right by escaping the prison that he's living in, because the sergeant also hypothetically is living in a prison that is governed by the British and one that he has to report to back to his family, and he's not at all happy with it. He imagines what life would be if he would escape. He imagines what life would be if he didn't have to violently shoot or assault somebody or kill somebody. And he feels happy about it. All right. The ragged man is contented. He's happy that the sergeant is talking so much about his past and he sympathizes with him. However, he thinks that the sergeant still has a double choice. One, if he wants to be with his people, and one, if he wants to be with the so called English crew. All right. He startled and struggled all his life. And now, finally, as he begins to talk, the sergeant realizes that the ragged man is the same man that he's looking out for. So he threatens to arrest him. He says, I will arrest you. I will only correct the reward. I will get the 100 pounds and I will see that the younger police companies approach. He protests. He says, nothing doing. I don't feel bad for you. I feel no empathy because you are the one, the reason why I'm sitting at this part of the night on the buoy. I'm sitting waiting for you. The ragged man tries to slip. He tries to run away. However, the sergeant catches him. He is a fugitive. And the fugitive is one that he loves his country and he'll not let any empowerment uh, flourish out there. So, what does he do? He decides to hide him away. Okay? He hides him. He realizes that he's a prisoner of war. The ragged man is someone who's a prisoner of war and he's not intentionally done anything wrong for him to be put in prison. Through his stories, he realizes that he's a political prisoner, and a political prisoner is one that is put into the jail or put into prison only for one reason, to suppress his voice. So he realizes that he has to hide him. He cannot show the world that he's caught him. He feels bad for him. So he hides him. Now, the two policemen, that is policeman B and policeman X, they come back. As soon as they come back, they ask the sergeant whether he's caught the rough man or the ragged man, because they can hear noisy offers. They can hear things being said around. The sergeant says nothing doing. He sees their lantern from afar and he hides him. And he says, nothing doing. I have not caught anybody. All right. He disguises the ragged man and he tells the ragged man to leave immediately. All right. He slips him out into a rescue boat that is around the boy. He lets him go alone in the moonlit wharf. Okay. And the sergeant thinks of how he lost the reward, but he did so only so that the ragged man is set free from the oppressors. All right. So the story is basically about a sergeant who's foolish enough to get knifed into a story of a ragged man. However, look at how loyal he is and how patriotic he is, that he lets go of that reward, that promotion, everything that he's thinking of, only so that this man lives a better life since he's a political prisoner. So, what do you learn in the conclusion? The title comes from a very popular old rebel song, that is The Rising of the Moon. It's a rebel song that the Irish used to sing against the British. So, the poet, the writer, has taken the title from there. The main characters, they represent two opposite forces. One is Ireland, freedom and independence. And the second force is them being under law and order under the British. Okay. The sergeant's job was to preserve the status quo. Okay. He had to avoid anything from going wrong. However, his heart melts for his own fellow men, especially for a political prisoner, and he lets him go. It shows that how even under the pressure of the British, he had turned stone-hearted, but it all changed when the ragged man tried to evoke some emotions into him. Okay, there's another alternative that you could accept in this story, that is the power of the English. Imagine the power that the English played in colonizing Ireland, that the people who were so loyal to Ireland themselves were turning against their own capacity. They were turning against their own people. The other alternative is that now everybody was taking a revolutionary path. Everybody was now fighting against the British for their own freedom so that they were not imprisoned, scorned, or impoverished. All right. The ragged man is someone who's reduced to what he is because of political choices. So, because he didn't politically favor what he had now, he was being tortured or being pushed against. So, what are the themes that you learn in the story? You can write that anywhere in your notebook, maybe on page 138 on top. Please write down. First is the revolutionary path the revolutionary path that that the ragged man that the ragged man takes takes and this leads to him being imprisoned him being imprisoned. That's one point. Second point, the sergeant is loyal in his heart. The sergeant is loyal in his heart, and this can be seen, and this can be seen when he tries to camouflage the ragged man, the ragged man, and lets him run away. Run away. Third point, third point, we also see we also see that that loyalist like the sergeant that loyalists like the sergeant are submerged and overtaken are submerged and overtaken by by the English. By the English. All right. I now want you to go on to page number 149. Okay. Page 149. You will do question A2, A22. Do A22 and do A5, A, B, C, D, E. A22 and A5, A, B, C, D, E. I'm giving you around, say, 15 minutes, children. Try doing it. Children, I'm giving you another 12 minutes. I'm giving you 5 minutes more, then we'll discuss the answers. You have around 6 minutes more. You have 4 minutes, children. I'm going to be questioning you all, so be ready to unmute yourselves. I'm going to give you solutions first to the mind map that's there. Be ready because I'll be questioning you all. Okay, let's look at this. There are some dialogues which are short but quite effective. They give us enjoyment and add beauty to the main story. Find some more from the text. Okay. Uh, First could be, what sort is he? You can write these questions. What sort is he? Second question, do you say so? You need five, so I'm giving you all five. Do you say so? Third question, it's a pity. Third, it's a pity. Fourth, I'm obliged to you. Fourth, I'm obliged to you. And fifth, it's no business of yours. It's no business of yours. Let's look at question 822. The priorities of the sergeant are shifted. Complete the given table by using the given clues. Okay. So his priorities of the sergeant. First one, in the beginning, it says, and sorry, priorities at the end of the play. So in the beginning, it's law and duty. At the end of the play, it's patriotism. In the beginning, money. Please write that down. Under in the beginning only, money. At the end of the play, Ireland's freedom. Ireland's freedom. Third, promotion in the beginning. Promotion in the beginning. At the end of the play, helping a rebel leader. Helping a rebel leader. Then I told you to do A5. Please look at A5, children. Okay. The description of the character is given below. Identify the character from the play. Find some sentences which support your answer. The first description is this. Uh, he's brave but irresponsible. It's a sergeant. He's brave. I don't want it. Bring it to you. He's an irresponsible person, whatever. Okay. The second one. He's a major character. He dominates the story. The major character who dominates the story could be a sergeant also. Okay. He is a sergeant again. Uh, Write down sentences could be, stop that noise. It's no business of yours to think. These two sentences is what you can write. Okay, third one. He is smart as well as brave. He's smart as well as brave. This is the prisoner, the ragged man. Okay, prisoner, ragged man. Where he says it's a pity. He's telling the sergeant what a pity his life is. Where he says, will you let me pass? He's telling him to let him go easily. Okay. He says there are 100 pounds on my head. All right. All these things are him being pitiful but brave also. Next one. He is obedient. Sorry, he's the center of the play, not obedient. He's the center of the play. This one is both the sergeant and the man. Both the sergeant and the ragged man. Why the ragged man? The ragged man tells him, you needn't ask me who I am. The placard on that tree will tell you who I am. That means he's already telling him he's the wanted character. And the sergeant is telling him, you are the man I'm looking for. So clearly the sergeant and the man are both important characters or the central characters of the play. He is obedient and simple policeman